I'm Lewis.
And I'm Susanna.
And this is Switched Media. On this week of Switched Media, we are joined by another special guest. Last week we had Sarah, who was another member of the community in this media and entertainment industries area. And this week we're joined by a gentleman named William, or Will, and he is a DJ. Is that right?
Yeah, and a few other things.
A DJ and a few other things, Susanna.
So give us a bit of an overview. We were talking a little bit beforehand, and you mentioned that you play quite a few different roles within the entertainment industry in general. So just give us a bit of a rundown of, maybe what, a typical week, maybe not during COVID, would look like for you in terms of the things you might be working on.
So DJing, I travel a lot. So I play between Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane and regional in the Duff scene and camping festival. Plus I do festival freelancing, so I hop around between festivals and do freelance work. And that can be anything, but majority of the time I'm in operation, so I'm working with the operation management. Just recently I'm kind of like the consulting guy that looks after disability management in the festival industry. So that can get a little bit hectic. Like last year at Earthquake, we had a big dumper rain came over on just before we were about to open the gates.
Yeah.
And the downside was that the whole festival was sitting on clay.
Gets very slippery very quickly with that.
So basically 50% of the whole festival got destroyed. That's just camping ground. So I had to literally stay up all night and just think of a backup option and try to tell everyone to hurry up and give me an outcome. I also run my own parties in the nightlife scene called Live Vibration. I've been doing it for 4 years. So I booked many locals, interstate, plus I had 3 internationals over my time.
Yeah.
And plus I got another 3 more in the pipeline. Mostly they all been female, but I just been kind of like just balancing the diversity perspective.
Yeah.
And just give it a natural warming hug feel in the whole experience of entertainment. Plus I'm also a public speaker, which I've done public speaking for EMC, which is an electronic music conference in the national level back in 2018. And we were just talking about disabilities in general, and also asked a lot of questions in regard to the electronic perspective, like what else I do. I don't know, I just kind of like fill everyone's pocket when they need me.
Yeah. So to have a bit of a more of an look at the kinds of things that you actually produce. So in terms of the DJing you do you have a particular kind of style? Is there music that obviously when you're a DJ you do have to somewhat play to the people that are there, but do you have a particular genre that is your most interested in?
Yeah, I'm very moody, more motherly type of feel, kind of if you want to go a little bit more fine detail, but in a more general perspective, definitely more European, Asian, house and techno type of sound.
Yeah.
Do you produce your own music?
No, at the moment, because I've just been focusing on uni, but I do. I'm being kind of adapting to it.
Yeah.
But I'm really no rush.
But is that something that you want to go down?
Yeah, eventually, but at the moment, I'm just kind of looking at other things that kind of more priority before I do producing, something that can really make things more foundational.
Yeah, of course.
I've also been doing a lot of political activists as well in regard to disability, which I just finally got Olga support in regard to section. There's a few sections in the liquor laws that need to be changed completely, like dismantle and reword it completely. For example, section 156, injury intoxication person. It always just say it's if someone's got speech impairment.
Yeah.
It's like one big umbrella kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
which
it doesn't really define the different. Okay, well, yeah, we can tell that the person is drunk, just got speech impairment, but when you're trying to assimilate that to a disability person, Good luck.
Yeah, and obviously, a lot of people say disability and they think, they do often quite literally think wheelchair. But obviously, disabilities are not, so many people,
that's
they've got
about
things that are
it.
not visible.
Yeah, that's about eight to nine categories of different type of disability, from visibility to non-visibility.
Exactly. For example, I work a lot in the with a lot of ASD children, and with most of them, that is a disability for them in many ways, but it's not something that you can see, and you wouldn't know that they're going to react differently to loud sounds or something like that, because they look like every other kid, and they are like every other kid. They just have some, they respond differently to certain things. They have slightly different brain patterns.
It's like the classic film called Theory of Everything.
Yeah.
Good movie.
And Imagination Game.
Yeah, The Imitation Game. Oh, that's actually one of my favorite movies.
And then the other one has to be...
The Imitation Game.
Yeah, Benedict
Isn't that about
Cumberbatch.
World War Two?
Yes, he was autistic.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
so
good. It's
Alan
good.
Turing, who basically is the guy who invented the computer, technically.
Yeah,
he was autistic.
Oh, okay.
And he
Oh,
got a
thanks for the
learning
spoilers,
disorder.
guys.
Oh, well, it's
I know.
got-
I'm joking.
history.
I'm
History,
joking,
Lewis.
I'm
They
joking.
got learning disorder and homosexuality issues.
Yeah, right. Well, it's on the watch list.
it should be. It's a brilliant
And-
movie.
And the other one, Undamaged.
Damage.
Yeah.
You've probably seen that one.
I actually don't think I've seen that one.
It's on Netflix.
I will definitely have to put it on my. No, I'm always looking for new things to watch, because when you go onto Netflix, you get that thing where you just see so much that you just you end up shutting it because you can't choose anything. So I like when people tell me go and watch this, because it means that I don't have to make the decision
it's
myself.
based on an Italian perspective. So he's Italian heritage, but he's American.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of good poetries in there that kind of like stand out.
Yeah.
So even though like you classify yourself as like a DJ, really you're like, well, you're probably more known as being a DJ, right?
Yeah.
You got your foot in everything.
Yeah.
You're an advocate. You're all over the place, mate. So you enjoy being out there and
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you just have to put yourself into a rabbit hole situation, like Alice in the Wonderland.
yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, it's true.
No,
Like,
it is. It's very
Yeah.
true.
So you,
So I have to throw yourself in the deep end and see what happens.
Yeah, it's the same block perspective as you were working at the kitchen end.
Mm-hmm.
First day you rush up to work, the chef just kind of like pick you out and suck you straight into the deep end.
Exactly. In terms of talking about some of these movies and things, and I was watching through a bunch of Pixar shorts the other day, and they've
Yeah.
got a Pixar short about called Loop that's just come out from Spark Studios. That's about a nonverbal child,
Yeah.
and it was basically showing kind of the perspective of how children can often be very confronted by things that are different or people that act differently, and the short was all about learning that just because someone may not act the same way you do doesn't mean that you can't communicate with them and actually build relationships and enjoy spending time with them just as much as you would spending
And
time
that's
with
also
someone
the
who acts
same
the same way.
perspective to a horror film with it, The Quiet Place.
Yeah. So like what in terms of
another great reference.
great reference.
Yeah.
So in terms of like seeing more of this kind of media coming out, like
Yeah.
what is your this media is obviously important for showing, giving representation
What
and
we're
things, but what do you
seeing
think
so
your
far
effect
is
is?
more of a general idea,
Yeah.
but we're not seeing the deep roots yet.
Yeah. You're not seeing as many, like in your typical shows that you see, if there is a character with a disability, they're normally a side character, they're a sidekick, they're a
Yeah,
they're
but
kind of in there,
even
they're
the
not.
story is very general, very generic kind of
Yeah.
telling of a disability person, but we still got a long way to go. Like,
We spoke about this last week with Sarah
Yeah,
in
we did,
terms
yeah.
of LGBTQ plus representation. The fact that a lot of it's great that there's stories being told, but they're typically the one story. It's always the butch lesbian and the hyper femme gay man. And the idea of what Sarah was saying was that whilst it's great that they are getting there, they are only one narrative, and there is so many other narratives that can be told that give voice to people's experience.
And there's a lot of headbutting going on with the disabilities as well, and I've got no issues on the LG multisexuality. But from my perspective, if you're looking at layers of different levels that should be addressed priority, great. We had the conversation last year about multisexuality perspective, but we still need to have a conversation about disability, because that's kind of like a much bigger issue, and that's been going on since BC.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing with the disability issue is it's not just the fact that you don't get to, see many representations on the screen, but it actually goes further into the actual, how actually even accessing entertainment is so much harder for someone with a disability in terms of seeing these changes come through. And you're talking about some policy changes that you're looking at, some legislative changes that you're working for.
So
how else do you want to see this kind of come through?
Yeah, I'm hoping, if fingers crossed, we get our approval for the government senior member to jump on board. And it'll be a general conversation, because he can't do anything with the laws, right?
Yes.
So unless we had the minister, then that'll be a different story. We'll be definitely pushing on that. But no, I think so. We're waiting to hear back from the Department of Disabilities to get back with a person and then have a good general conversation. And if you look back on the 2018 New South Wales Lockout Committee hearing, there is a strong movement for the Disability Action Plan to be implemented into the whole entertainment industry, more focused on the festivals and, nightlife in general. But if it goes well, then they'll enforce what the topic I'm kind of explaining is, to put a petition forward to have a full amendment on the lockout, on the liquor laws.
Because I know a lot of people probably don't actually know much about the challenges that people with disabled. So could you give us a bit of a rundown of some of the challenges people do face?
The biggest one is the most obvious one, which is why many nightclubs are getting sued for defamation and discrimination on their doorsteps all the time. Lack of training from all stakeholders within the venue and external, and also bodies. Lack of awareness. What they're missing out is the opportunity in reduction of violence. I don't know if you noticed this, but when you have a disability walk into a venue and you got a dickhead trying to start a punch-out, they actually look at someone with a wheelchair, for example, and just stop and just keep drinking. I'm like, oh, that works.
COVID obviously has impacted you as...
No, not so much. I think it kind of gave us an opportunity for nightlife and festival to kind of put everything on a whole card at the moment and just reflect back on
and put some things into perspective. Maybe.
For example, disability management in nightclubs. A lot of them actually thought about that, and they're starting to figure out ways how we can do it. So I told them that I'm working on a disability action plan for the QUT Guild, which is the Botanic Bar. We're going to do a 3-month trial there. Hopefully we get passed. But hopefully things will go out well, which I'm really hoping. That's more of a personal project, but I'm hoping it does go ahead. And then all the industry nightclub would definitely jump on board it to become more successful in regard to improving or customer enhancement.
Yes. And I guess with things shut down, it actually gives places the time to sit down and reassess and change things, in a more thorough way than they potentially would have done when they were still operating every single night and were so busy with those things. It actually has provided opportunities to stop and go, okay, how are we actually going to do this in a way that's effective and useful and actually brings about, what needs to happen.
It seems...
but also at the same time, we're also facing a bit of a challenge of trying to encourage people back to the norm.
Yeah, well, that's another story. But I was just going to say, you seem like a bit of a pioneer in driving a movement, right?
Yeah.
Like, you seem like that guy who's going to put his best foot forward and implement new ways of, including people with disabilities who have a talent for... bringing people together for a nightlife,
Well, thank you so much, Will, for coming in and having a chat to us, letting us know kind of, what your experiences have been, what it is that you do in the industry, and these, like Will said, Will. Like
That's
Lewis
my middle
said,
name. William is my middle name.
There we go.
So
That
there
works.
you go.
And I would have been William if I was a boy. So we're all
we're all
in this
connected
together.
some way, right?
And as Lewis has said, you've been a pioneer kind of with pushing this forward, certainly here in Australia, which is great to see, and some of the overseas stuff as well. So thanks so much for coming in to chat with us. Will's a part of a project this semester again called Living with Challenges, and this episode's coming up on Friday, so it will have been on the Thursday. They have a conference that they're running, which he's spoken about briefly, discussing some of these issues in more depth with some really interesting and influential speakers that you guys have coming. So the recording of that will be up on their social medias. We will put the links down in our description box, so definitely go and check out their stuff, particularly if you're interested in just learning more about some of these challenges and the ways to move forward. Go to check them out. Our social medias, as always, will be down in the description box below. So like and subscribe. Go over to their channel and do the same thing there. Thank you so much, Will. Very appreciated. And we will see you guys next week.